So I want to give away, and I thought, you know what? Let's do an unboxing. Let's do a review. Let's check it out. Let's open it up because I don't get to do this very often, and I'm pretty damn excited. I think the last laptop I had is like 10 years old now. It's pretty much like a big paperweight. I don't know why I got rid of it. It doesn't do anything. It's not even good for browsing. I can't even open up one Chrome tab without the thing going. So, needless to say, I'm pretty excited. Also, MSI sent me one of these. Hey guys, my name's Andy Potato and welcome to Guru Geek. So we have the MSI Alpha 15. The cool thing about this laptop is it's rocking a Ryzen 7 3750H with an RX 5500M, so it's completely AMD. The Ryzen 7 3750H is 4 cores, 8 threads, 2.3 GHz base clock with a max clock of 4 GHz. The Radeon RX 5500M has 4 GB of GDDR6 memory. I believe our model has 16 GB. Let me just check. 16 GB of RAM. There's a 512GB M.2 SSD, which is pretty cool, and it has 120 Hz refresh rate screen. It has 120 Hz refresh rate screen. So with that being said, let's open this bad boy up. Well. First of all, MSI, what is this? This isn't a dragon. This is some kind of bird. A green bird. Birds don't exist. I mean, wait, no, hold on. I mean, it doesn't give me much of a gamer feel, if you know what I mean. It's more, I feel like it's very businessy. Like, you would go to a business meeting and pull this out and people would be like, oh, this guy is a business guy. It looks really nice, I'm not gonna lie. The keyboard is super awesome. Listen to that. Listen to that. You could type on this forever and you wouldn't get bored. You wouldn't get bored. You could type forever until your fingers fell off. The bezels on the side are really sleek, nice and slim. I don't know about, I think this is a bit chunky. I don't know. I think this is a little bit chunky here. I'm just gonna pick it up so you guys can get a feel for what it looks like and how heavy it is, and my tiny weak muscles can barely carry it, but here it is. Look at it, look at that. There's heaps of airflow. So taking a further look into the cooling, I think we've got 2 exhausts on the back here. Oh, there's a little bit of red. I see you, MSI, I see you. Can't hide that red from me. And we've got an exhaust on this side as well. So we'll have a look at the ports that we've got here. So we've got a network port. We have a HDMI, a full HDMI, which is kind of nifty. We've got a display port, mini display port, a USB port here as well, which I heard they glow. USB-C type connection. We've got a headphone jack and a microphone jack, and flipping it around on this side, we have our power port, which is a kind of weird placement. You've got your power plugged in here. You're kind of gonna route that way. And there's also 2 USB ports, and they're very close to this side, which I think could get in the way of some hardcore gameplay. And we've also got an SD card reader here as well, which is pretty nice. Everything looks really awesome. The keyboard looks great. The cooling looks great as well. The only issue that I guess I have, and they're just minor issues, I guess, would be the position of all the different ports. And this guy here is quite thick. That's all I've really got to say. Other than that, it's pretty damn nice. So let's pop it open and see what's inside. So finally, what felt like eternity, I have the rear open. Let me tell you something, they did not want me to get into this. And I can understand why, because someone like me would probably mess something up. But I won't, because I'm a professional. We've got a huge heatsink that runs all the way along the back there. The 2 exhaust fans up here. The speakers are down the bottom. They got these little flap. You see this thing? You see the little flap? There's a little flap thing, and you open it up, and then underneath there is the RAM. We've got 16 gigs of DDR4. You've got the SSD here, the M.2 SSD. Now, there's one thing about this. Although it's quite upgradable, you have to do a lot of work to get to the upgrading. The edge here is slightly covered by all of the cooling that we have here, which means if you want to upgrade this SSD, you have to take the entire thing off, unscrew it, put a new one in, reapply thermal paste, pop it back on, and then slip that in there, which is pretty upsetting. Underneath this little flap is a room for a 2.5-inch hard drive, which is quite nice. So I'm probably going to pop an SSD in there at some point anyway, probably by 1 terabyte. They've done a good job with everything. I'm just really disappointed about the SSD there, though. That's a bit upsetting, but you know, it is what it is. So let me pop it back on, I'll get it started up, and we can get into the real stuff. So how about afterwards, you and I, maybe we hit the town, have a couple of drinks. What do you think? Okay, first of all, before we continue the video, why did no one tell me that one side of my mustache was falling over? Why didn't you say, hey, Nato, stop the video and fix your damn mustache? So one of the first things when turning on this laptop, obviously, is the keyboard. So SteelSeries have done an amazing job on the keyboard, as always. You can see it's a little flickery, but that's just my camera. It doesn't look like that in person, I promise. I can see it right now. I don't even, why are you doing that? Stop it. Stop it. Anyway, I had a bit of a play around with it. Haven't jumped into any games yet, so we're going to be jumping fresh into some games. A few things to note. The screen. The screen looks absolutely incredible. It has a really nice brightness on it as well. I use it in a few different rooms. Dark rooms, obviously, looks perfectly fine. Well-lit rooms, it works really great as well, to be honest. So there's a good brightness on the screen itself. I think doing a bit of research, it had about average 300 nits brightness on it. So the keyboard was really nice to type on. I found that was really, it was a treat. It was a treat to type on. That's all I can say. The touchpad was a little bit hit and miss for me. It has that kind of finish where, you know, if your finger gets a little bit sweaty, and my fingers get very sweaty, I don't know how to explain it. Like, you know, I'm moving on, it's like, the USBs light up. There we go, we got one USB there. We got 2 USB ports on this side. They light up red, which I think is pretty cool. It's handy to have, just in case you're trying to find that USB port in the dark. I mean, USBs in the light are hard enough to access, let alone in the dark. The cooling on it is really, really good. It's just a tad loud. So you've got a little button here, a turbo fan button, which will basically boost up the fans when pressed. You've also got a cycle through button here, right next to the power button. Cycles through the different options on the keyboard itself. Now there is a program installed. SteelSeries have their own program where you can customize it a little bit more, but if you want to just cycle through a different few options on the keyboard itself, you can do that with the press of a button. One of the features that is mentioned on there is giant speakers. The speakers, to me personally, sound pretty average. There's not a lot of low end. It's very tinny as well. Let me just pull up a track and then you can hear what I'm talking about. You see what I mean. YouTube, please don't demonetize me, please. Anyway, that being said, let's jump into some games and see how it performs, shall we? Hi. So I've downloaded a few games. I'm going to try out CSGO. We're going to try out Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the Battle Royale, whatever. I haven't played it before, so I don't even know how it's going to go. We've got Battlefield 5 as well. So I'm going to jump into those 3 games. If there's any other games that you want to see played, I can try and play them and then let you know in the comments below. So just drop that down below and I'll see what I can do for you. So I've just launched up CSGO. I'm going to jump into an easy game. We're going to see how it goes. I'm going to do a bit of commentating as we go so I can let you know what the FPS is kind of running at as we're playing the game. So I basically set the game to full max settings. Currently we are running roughly between 100 to 120 FPS. I'm pretty impressed with how this runs, but I mean, it's CSGO. What can you really expect from a game that is ancient and it's meant to be played in a competitive environment? I didn't have the sound on, so I didn't know the bomb was going to explode. So I thought I'd throw GTA into the mix as well. I mean, it's a pretty popular game with roleplay and everything going on right now. I've basically set all the settings to as high as they possibly can be, apart from the advanced settings because it used up too much of the video RAM. Let's run the benchmark and see what happens. So we're running about 65 around here, dropping to about 40. So all in all, pretty playable so far. Dropping down to the low 50s during the nighttime, so I'm assuming that's a lot of the shadows that are involved. The game is looking pretty good, to be honest. It's looking really, really nice. The explosion. So we dropped down to about 36. Unfortunately, I don't know what happened. For some reason, when my game rebooted, it completely reset all the settings and the benchmark test didn't actually come through. But going over what we saw, we're looking anywhere between 45 to 70 FPS, depending on how intense the scene is. Now, that was at max settings, basically. It was pretty much maxed out as far as it could go. So you could bring the settings down to about high, between high to very high, maybe some medium settings, and get a really smooth gameplay experience out of that. So pretty happy with the result. Next up, I thought we'd try a bit more of a recent title, so I installed Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Warzone. We're going to jump into a few matches. I've never played the game before. I've put all the settings to max. We'll see how it runs. We're pretty much on the border of maxing out the VRAM on the graphics card, so all I can say is we're probably going to need to bring down the visuals to get better performance, but let's try it out. Okay, so we're in game now. It looks like we're running at about 45 FPS, coming down to about 30 frames, 38 frames, 40 frames at the moment, so it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Keep in mind, we are maxed out, so I would like to see how the game would run at more of a respectable setting for this kind of machine. So I'm going to bring it down a little bit. So the texture resolution was the only thing I changed to high. So I'm going to bring that down to normal. Instantly, that's bringing us back up to about 55 FPS to 60 FPS, which is definitely more playable, that's for sure. I would probably want to bring down the graphics a little bit more than that, to be honest. I'd probably bring them down to about a medium setting. To get a good experience out of Modern Warfare Warzone, you're going to want to bring the graphics down probably to about medium, maybe some high settings if you want to sacrifice some frames for some visuals. All in all, it was a playable experience. You wouldn't play on something like this competitively, but it ran pretty well. The final game we got on the test is Battlefield 5. I'm not expecting this to run the best, but let's try it out. Let's see what happens. I've got all the settings maxed out on Ultra. I guarantee we'll probably have to bring them down, but we'll get an idea of how it runs anyway. So I'm going to jump into a Conquest game and see what happens. As expected, we're running around 35 to 40 frames at the moment. I mean, it is a very graphic intensive game and also a very CPU intensive game as well, so coming up to about 60 at some points. Where this laptop will lack in performance is the CPU itself. The Ryzen 7 3750H is equivalent to the i5 9300H after doing a bit of research. So in terms of a CPU for gaming, it's not going to provide the most incredible performance, especially with games like Battlefield 5. But you can see it's pretty playable. I mean, you're going to have a bit of a disadvantage with some lower frames, dropping down to about 40 here as well in some areas. Not the most playable if you're looking for a competitive edge, but all in all, you know, it's a pretty good experience. If you're looking for a playable experience on Battlefield 5, you're going to need to bring the preset to probably about a low to a medium, depending on what you're looking for in terms of quality and frames. I guess the only question left is, who is this laptop made for? Coming in at $1,000 US, roughly 1,500 Australian dollars. I would say this laptop is made for someone who is looking for a few finer aspects while sacrificing a bit of that internal hardware in the machine itself. If you're an AMD fan, this is probably going to be the perfect laptop for you, rocking a Ryzen 7 3750H with an RX 5500M. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool machine. All in all, I think it's very good value for money. I feel like If you're looking for the ultimate gaming experience, this probably isn't for you. This is someone who is looking for more of a casual experience, and for someone who is okay with turning down a bit of the quality options to get a bit more frames out of the machine itself. So I guess that brings us to the end of the video. If you do have any questions, if you are considering buying this machine and you want to know a couple more things about it, leave them in the comments below. I do stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday as well. Links in the description down below. If you have any questions and you want to ask them live, come by, come ask them. We can have a chat, we can talk about them. I am currently on break as well from streaming because we've recently had a baby who is 4 months old now, but I'm still getting used to dad life, so I haven't really figured out everything yet. I will get back there and I'm excited to be there as well. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Enjoy the rest of your day and stay cool.
It's Babe's family. I would hate to let the balls. Look at these balls. Look at these giant bing bongs. Oh my god, I could literally pick them up in both my arms. I'd need 2 hands to hold them.